There's not one definition for what a green city can be. In fact, I think it would be difficult for all of us to say whether a city is green or not green. But what I think we talk about when we talk about green cities are cities that are undertaking new technologies, new ways of doing business, and new ways of living that are leading to more efficiency. They're cleaner, and they're providing better ways to live. And I think generally when we talk about green cities, those are the things that we're talking about. And that can take a number of different examples. You could look at, for instance, the city of New York, which is doing a lot to make the buildings in New York more energy efficient, to use less energy. You could look at a city like London, where we sit today. London has had a great track record in improving the diversity of public transport options. So in addition to just public transportation, you now have a public bicycle rental scheme that you can use to get to work. So that diversity, I think, is a good example of what we're talking about.
We may well have diversified our transport systems, but we've also still got a big issue around air quality, and that has an impact on people's daily lives. And health and well-being is absolutely essential. So we're at this stage of transforming our transport system, but we still recognise that there are issues that we have to address. And that's the same for our waste and water management. You know, everyone wants to have access to fresh, potable water. And it's not just cities in the UK, it's cities in developing countries. If we can't create cities that address the waste issue, the water issue, the energy issue, if we can't address that while still considering what a citizen needs, then it's not going to be a sustainable place, and our cities will become ghettos.
A lot of cities are looking into how can we use ecosystems in innovative ways to address reducing the effects of a heat wave or reducing the amplitude of precipitation. And so planting trees, using green spaces, restoring areas with vegetation, green roofs, green walls, all these are examples of how a city could use ecosystems as part of a very innovative strategy to address these climate change issues.
If you de-green a city centre and it's just crammed with people and buildings and traffic, then you've got health consequences, you've got all sorts of issues, and the general sort of well-being aspects. So there's a function to having green space which hits at the heart of the social economy.
We often blame cities for their enormous environmental impact, but what would the impact of the same population be if not condensed in cities?
People living in a city have a lower footprint or have the potential of decreasing that footprint. So from that perspective, building a more sustainable future on the planet, I think we need to think of an urbanized planet as a very important part. But I also think it's really important to think, how could we make that urbanization more sustainable? And this is what we're actually talking about today. And not just reducing footprints, it's much more than that. It's sort of how cities could be part of creating incentives for better stewardship of landscapes and seascapes everywhere.
I think at a city level, cities need to develop a roadmap to define their vision for what a green city would be for them, and then start to understand what stakeholders are involved in delivering that vision. And as a result of that, spark off the innovation, the enterprise, and start to address some of the root causes of the malaise that we see in some of our cities, so that we can move forwards within this century as a century of the urban age.
If you look back at the last 20 years, if you look since the last Rio, I think there are two success stories when it comes to climate change and when it comes to the environment. One is what cities are doing, and the other is what companies are doing. I think those two entities have been the leaders in showing national governments how to act on climate change, how to act on sustainability, and we've seen tremendous leadership from many of those sectors. They need to work together. I mean, Paul's point is exactly right. Cities are complex places. If you're a city government and you're not engaging with your private sector and with the businesses in your city, you're absolutely missing a trick. They're critical to your ability to deliver a greener city.